It begins as many sacred things do in silence. You're up early, not because you have to be, but because your body woke before the alarm. The house is still hushed. You walk to the bathroom, fingers brushing against the light switch, but you don't turn it on. Instead, you open the curtain just a little. A pale ribbon of sunlight spills across the mirror. You reach for a cloth, the same soft one you've used for years, and begin wiping the glass. In the reflection, you see your face, but also something else. A certain weight around the eyes, a thought that's visited too often lately. Why does it feel like I'm always trying, but nothing's really flowing? There's enough food on the table. The bills are paid, but there's a sense of stuckness. Money comes and goes, mostly goes. Sleep is lighter than it used to be. Conversations at home feel a bit more strained. You're not unhappy, just tired in a way that rest alone doesn't fix. You glance down. The cloth in your hand is damp with salt water. It's something your mother taught you. She used to say, "Salt clears what eyes can't see." Back then you thought she meant superstition. Now you understand. Some things in a home are physical, dust, stains, spills. Others are more delicate. The mood that lingers after an argument, the heaviness in a room that hasn't been opened in weeks, the feeling of walking into a space and knowing something is off. Salt, she believed, could help with both. Maybe you've seen advice online. Put a bowl of salt in this corner, sprinkle some under the bed, use it to attract wealth. But here's something no one tells you. If salt is placed in the wrong place, it can actually trap the very energy you're trying to release. Like a forgotten door that never opens. Like a mirror reflecting back the same old struggle again and again. And most people, they do it wrong. They use the wrong type of salt. They touch it after it's placed. They leave it in corners full of clutter or darkness. They don't know that where you place salt is just as important as how you do it. So the question is your salt working for you or quietly keeping you stuck? Today we're going to walk through 5 quiet spaces in your home, places that when touched by a simple bowl of salt begin to shift. This isn't about superstition. It's about energy, about air that breathes easier. Rooms that rest lighter, about giving your home, your real home, the one that holds your heart, a chance to exhale. Let's begin. Position 1, southeast corner, where wealth flows like a quiet river. There's a corner in your home that few people visit, at least not with intention. It might be the space behind a potted plant, the edge of a bookshelf, a spot where you once meant to hang a painting but never did. It collects things, unopened mail, tangled cords, a vase you no longer love. But more than that, it collects silence, and not the peaceful kind. In the ancient energy map of a home, this is not just a forgotten corner. It is the southeast, the direction that governs growth, abundance, and the slow, steady rise of all that feeds us. Not just with money, but with vitality, possibility, and breath. When this space is nourished, life tends to feel unstuck. Projects move forward, bills are paid with ease, conversations open. You feel lighter in your own skin, but when it's blocked, when light doesn't reach it, when clutter buries it, wealth doesn't disappear, it just stops moving. It stagnates, pools in places you can't access, and eventually trickles out the back door before you ever see it. Most people think attracting abundance requires action, ambition, hustle. And yes, effort matters. But effort without aligned energy is like rowing a boat with one oar. You turn in circles, you grow tired, and the shore never gets closer. The southeast corner doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply waits. Like a riverbed waiting for water. And that's where salt comes in. Salt doesn't sparkle, it doesn't perfume the air, but it listens, it absorbs, it remembers what we'd rather forget: frustration, tightness, the energy of not enough. And when placed gently in the right space, it begins to change the current. Not by force, but by stillness. Here's what you can do when you're ready. First, find the southeast corner of your home. If you're not sure where it is, stand in the center of your space and use a compass or a compass app on your phone. Let it guide you not with perfection but with intention. Once there, look closely. What's here? Is the air heavy? Is the light dim? Is this a place you rush past or avoid entirely? Begin by clearing it, not just the dust but the energy. Move objects with care. Wipe surfaces slowly. Open a window if you can. Let the air shift. You might be surprised how much lighter the room feels with just a bit of fresh breath. Then prepare your salt. Choose a bowl made of ceramic, clay, or glass. Nothing shiny, nothing plastic. Think of it as a vessel, not just for salt, but for clarity. Into it, pour a layer of coarse, natural salt. Unrefined sea salt or Himalayan pink salt is ideal, not the fine, bleached kind from the grocery aisle. That salt may look pure, but its energy is tired. What you want is something raw, something alive. Next, gently place 6 metal coins on top of the salt. Old coins are fine, shiny ones too. What matters is the number, 6, symbol of metal in the 5 elements, which in turn nourishes water, and water nourishes wood, the element of the southeast. You are not just placing coins. You are rebuilding the chain of flow. Finally, pour clean water over the salt and coins. Not too much, just enough to cover. And then place this bowl in your southeast corner, uncovered, undisturbed, unseen. Do not announce it. Do not explain. This is not decoration. This is devotion. And now you wait, not with expectation, but with presence. People often ask, how can something so simple make a difference? But they forget. Wealth is not just money. It is a way the world responds to us. When the space we live in begins to breathe, so do we. When energy moves, so do relationships, ideas, and the hidden opportunities that have been circling us, waiting for permission to land. You may begin to notice small things first. A delayed payment finally arrives. A neighbor offers help you didn't ask for. You sleep deeper. You feel more at ease in your own thoughts. Or perhaps, for the first time in a long while, you look around your home and don't feel like something's missing. That is wealth, but let's be honest. This corner is easy to forget again. Dust creeps back, boxes reappear. Life gets noisy, so protect this space, keep it clean. Let sunlight visit it when possible. Don't place heavy furniture or shelves above the bowl. Don't let pets or children play near it. And most importantly, don't touch the salt once it's placed. No stirring, no rearranging. Energy is shy. When we meddle, it hides. You may feel tempted to peek to see if it's working. But remember, this is not a transaction. This is a trust. Leave the bowl for 1 to 2 months. When it's time to refresh, do so with intention. Wrap the used salt in paper and return it to the earth, under a tree in a quiet garden. Say thank you. Then begin again. And each time you do, let it be more than routine. Let it be remembrance. That abundance is not a chase. It is a flow. And sometimes all it takes is an open corner, a bowl of salt, and your quiet permission. Position 2. Under the bed where fatigue hides in silence. Some tiredness doesn't come from work. It doesn't come from age or diet or weather. It comes from sleeping above energy that has nowhere to go. Think of the space under your bed. Not the mattress, not the bedding, but the air beneath, the hidden belly of your rest. It's easy to ignore. Covered in shadows, filled with boxes, a few slippers, maybe a forgotten book. But what lives there is more than objects. It is the quiet residue of all your days, unspoken worries held in size, the ache of pushing through one more week. We call it storage. But sometimes we're storing stagnation. In Vietnamese homes, elders once taught, never place old shoes or unused items under the bed, not because it looked messy, but because the bed is sacred. It's where the body releases, where the mind drifts, where the soul softens its guard. And the energy beneath it, it rises. It feeds us all night long, especially for the person who holds the most in the household, the quiet leader, the caregiver, the one everyone leans on. Often she sleeps last, wakes first, worries in silence. And without realizing it, she rests on top of a space holding more weight than her body alone. The symptoms are subtle at first: interrupted sleep, vivid dreams, morning stiffness. A feeling of waking up just as tired as you went to bed. You try new pillows, drink calming tea, but nothing truly changes. That's because the heaviness is not in your body, it's beneath it. But here is the quiet truth. Energy can be soothed, and one of the simplest, gentlest ways to begin is with a lemon and salt. Choose a fresh lemon, not bruised, not dried out. A lemon that feels alive when you hold it, cool, firm, quietly vibrant. Make a small horizontal cut through its skin, not slicing it apart, just opening it slightly. Then fill that space with coarse, natural salt. Not fine white powder, but something with texture, with story. A salt that still remembers the sea. Place this lemon on a small ceramic or glass dish. Nothing flashy, nothing plastic. Then slide the dish under the bed, not far underneath, not lost in shadows, but positioned directly beneath the part of the bed where the head or heart of the main person sleeps. And then leave it. This lemon does not perfume the room, it does not shout. But slowly, night by night, it drinks in the stale, the stuck, the silent tiredness that words never caught. Salt absorbs, lemon cleanses. Together, they form a kind of unseen guardian. Some women who have tried this simple act describe something unexpected. "I didn't change anything else," one wrote, "but I stopped waking with clenched hands. My dreams softened," another said. "I remembered one that felt like a goodbye. My husband's snoring eased. He doesn't know about the lemon, but I do." None of them needed rituals, only respect. Because what you are doing is not magic. It is making space for better sleep, for calmer thoughts, for your own energy to recover rather than brace. A few things to remember: this lemon will change. It may dry, shrivel, mold. When it does, don't ignore it. That's a sign it has done its work. Remove it with care. Wrap it in a natural cloth or paper. Never toss it in your household trash where it might quietly return what it carried. Instead, bury it outside. Near a tree, somewhere where things grow. If that's not possible, return it to nature through running water, a stream, a river, even the sea. Then when you're ready, place a new lemon, not in urgency, in gratitude. And over time, you may notice something else. The atmosphere in your bedroom feels softer, the silence less heavy, arguments at night fade faster. You begin waking before the alarm, not out of habit, but because your body feels done with sleep. Rested, ready, and the ripple doesn't stop with you. When the main person in a household is balanced, everyone else feels it. Children seem calmer, meals feel warmer, days feel less hurried. It's not a miracle, it's momentum. But none of it begins without that first moment, the decision to honor even the unseen parts of your home. So tonight, when you pull back your blanket, pause, sit on the edge of your bed, feel the quiet beneath you, and ask gently, is what lies under me holding me up, or holding me down? Sometimes the deepest healing begins in the place no one sees, and sometimes the lightest change starts with a lemon in the dark. Position 3, near the stove when fire grows too loud. There is a kind of noise that doesn't come from sound. It hums beneath the clatter of pots, behind the hiss of boiling water. It stirs when too many dinners are rushed, when too many sighs are swallowed behind the spice rack. The kitchen hears it all, and over time, that energy, heavy, hot, impatient, begins to collect, not in the food, not in the recipes, but in the space itself. In many cultures, the kitchen is the financial heart of the home. It's where warmth is created, where nourishment is given, where people gather even when there's no reason to. Elders used to say, a kitchen with fire is a home with blessings. But what happens when that fire burns too loud? What happens when the meals are made not with love but with tension? Energy builds, slowly, day by day, until the kitchen no longer feels like a sanctuary. It feels sharp. Maybe you've noticed it. A tightness in your shoulders while cooking, small arguments starting between bites, groceries that spoil faster, expenses that seem to climb for no reason. The fridge is full, but nothing feels satisfying. That's because the fire element, when unbalanced, begins to consume more than it gives. It dries joy. It burns patience. It scatters the soft, stable energy that makes a home feel safe. And here, too, salt becomes your quiet ally. But not salt alone. In the kitchen, especially around the stove, what's needed is not just purification, but gentleness. A cooling of the flame, a calming of the breath. For this, you will need salt and fresh lemon. Simple, humble, powerful. Take a small ceramic or glass bowl. Let it be something that feels honest, no bright patterns, no plastic sheen. Into it, place 2 to 3 tablespoons of coarse natural salt, not bleached or too fine. Let the salt sit like quiet snow. Then take a lemon, fresh, bright, alive, slice it into thin rounds, not perfect slices. Not symmetrical, just real. Lay the slices on top of the salt. Let the yellow glow gently against the white. Now place this bowl near your cooking area. It should be close enough to be in the energy field of your stove, but not so close that it will be touched by heat, steam, or grease. Behind your oils, beside your spice jars, tucked quietly in a corner only you know. And then let it be. The salt will absorb, the lemon will soften. Together, they will begin to cool the excess fire, balance the sharpness, and return the kitchen to a space where meals feel like comfort, not survival. You may not notice it at first, but over time, the kitchen air feels less thick. Cooking becomes less of a chore. Fewer things burn on the stove or in conversation. Expenses, oddly, seem more manageable. You stop overbuying. You stop forgetting ingredients. You feel more grounded in what you need and less pulled by what you don't. This is what it means for the fire to serve, not dominate. One woman wrote, "After placing salt and lemon near my stove, my meals stopped tasting rushed. My daughter started helping me cook again." Another shared, "I had no idea how much tension I held while cooking. It's like the lemon is holding it for me now." But remember, this bowl is not forever. Salt, once it absorbs enough, becomes heavy. Lemon, once it draws in the fire, begins to dry. When the slices curl, when the salt clumps, that's your signal. The bowl has done its work. Replace it. Monthly is best. When you remove it, do so with care. Don't dump it in the sink. Wrap it in paper. Thank it quietly. Then return it to the earth or place it in flowing water far from your home. This is not waste, it is release. And each time you replace it, take a moment. Notice your breath. Smell the lemon, feel the coolness of the salt. Remind yourself this is your hearth. This is where you feed the people you love. This is where peace begins. The stove is not just a heat source. It is the pulse of the home. And just like the human heart, it needs rhythm, not too fast, not too sharp. A steady flame, a gentle beat, balanced, quietly alive. Position 4, just inside the entrance, the house's first breath. Before you say a word, before you set down your keys, before you even close the door behind you, your home has already taken its first breath of you. The entrance to a home is more than a doorway. It is a threshold between worlds, between the noise outside and the quiet inside, between who you are in public and who you become when you're finally home. And just like the mouth of the body, the entrance determines what comes in. joy or heaviness, welcome or worry. Some days the weight of the world is carried in on the soles of your shoes. Tension from work, glances from strangers, a stranger's angry words overheard at the market. You walk in, and without meaning to, that energy follows. You may not notice it right away, but over time you feel it. The house begins to hold more than furniture. It holds echoes, unsettling stillness. A quiet sense that peace takes longer to arrive. Your guests leave and something else lingers. You clean the floors, you wipe the windows. But it's not dust you're feeling. It's the mouth of your home being left unguarded. In traditional Vietnamese households, it was never just about locking the door. A small dish of salt was often tucked inside the threshold, beside the shoes, hidden near a plant or a cabinet. Not for decoration, not for show, but to catch the energy that doesn't belong. You can do the same, but this time you'll give it a bit more power. You'll use salt, cloves, and black peppercorns, not much. Just enough to draw a quiet boundary. Here's how. Choose a small bowl, glass, ceramic, or clay. Let it feel grounding in your hands. Into it, add about 2 tablespoons of coarse, natural salt. Then drop in 3 dried cloves, fragrant, pointed, rich in history. Cloves hold warm, protective energy. They've long been used to ward off what doesn't serve. Next, add 5 to 7 whole black peppercorns, sharp, clean. Fire-driven, pepper disperses stuckness. It cuts through the fog, no water, no covering. Place this bowl just inside your front door, not in plain sight, not where guests will see and ask. Energy listens, and too many curious eyes dilute its work. Tuck it beside a shoe rack, inside a cabinet, beneath a console, somewhere close to the threshold but safe from pets, feet, and questions, and let it be. The salt will absorb. The cloves will guard, the pepper will scatter the heavy air. What happens next is quiet, but real. You may notice fewer minor disturbances, less forgetfulness, fewer things breaking. A sense that visitors bring less tension or leave it outside. You come home and breathe easier. You sleep better after days when the house has been full. The entrance feels more like a welcome, less like a crossing. Because what you've done is not simply protect your space. You've given it a chance to choose what enters. You've invited energy to be filtered, to be softened, to be held before it spreads. That is power, but it's also peace. This bowl, too, must be cared for. Don't leave it forever. Every month, or whenever you feel the air growing stale, replace it. Wrap the old contents in natural paper. Return them to the earth, away from the path of people. Or release into moving water if the land is not an option. Do not toss it in the bin, do not flush it. This is not trash. It's what your home no longer needs. Each time you replace the bowl, do it as if you were sweeping an old breath out of the house, so it can take in a new one. You might be surprised at what begins to shift. One woman shared, "I used to dread walking through the door after work. It wasn't the house, it was what I brought with me. The salt gives it somewhere else to go." Another wrote, "Since placing the bowl, I've had fewer headaches. I didn't expect that, but maybe my body knew what my mind didn't." You don't have to believe in magic. You only have to believe in care. The entrance is where your home begins, and beginnings matter. So tomorrow, as you come home, pause before you step inside. Notice what the house feels like before it sees you, and ask gently, is this a home that welcomes, or one that waits to be healed? Sometimes healing begins at the first step in, and all it takes is a bowl, a breath, and your quiet decision to protect what matters most. Position 5 on your desk, where intentions take shape. There is a small, quiet stage in your home, not lit by sunlight, not decorated for guests, but it's where every choice begins, your desk. Whether it's a polished table in your study, a modest corner beside the kitchen, or just a tray beside the bed where you keep your planner and pens, This space holds more than papers. It holds your mind, your will, your next step. And yet, how often do we sit there already tired? Not just physically, but mentally worn before we even begin. You try to focus, but your thoughts scatter. You set goals, but they blur. You make lists, but feel no pull to act. Sometimes it feels like your desk is where good ideas go to drown, not because they're not worthy, but because the energy around them is muddy, unfocused, forgotten. That's because the desk, like any sacred space, needs to be claimed. In Vietnamese tradition, the working table was never just a surface. It was a kind of altar, a place where your thoughts turned into plans, where your inner world met the outer one. That space needed grounding, protection, and above all, clarity. One of the most gentle yet powerful ways to bring that clarity back is through a simple jar of salt, rice, and a coin. No incense, no rituals, just elements of the earth that carry strong, stable energy and the wisdom of centuries. Here's how to create your intention jar. Start with a clear glass jar, small, not wide-mouthed. Something you can hold easily in your palm. Wash and dry it. Let it shine, not with polish, but with purpose. Into the jar, pour a base layer of coarse, natural salt. This is your foundation. Salt purifies, salt protects. Salt holds firm when everything else scatters. Next, gently sprinkle a layer of uncooked white rice, not too much. Just enough to cover the salt. Rice represents nourishment, fertility, growth. It is what feeds the world. And in this jar, it feeds your ideas, your decisions, your direction. Finally, place a single coin on top, a bright one. Preferably new, round with a sense of symmetry. If possible, one with a square hole, symbolizing heaven encircling earth. But any clean coin will do. This is your magnet, your quiet call to abundance, not through force, but through alignment. There is no need to seal the jar, no need to hide it, but be intentional. Place it on your desk where your eyes might find it, but your hands don't touch it out of habit. Let it live among your tools. Beside your journal, near your favorite pen, next to the planner you only half use. And then notice. Something will shift. You might feel more centered when you sit. Ideas flow more easily. You follow through more consistently. That call you've been avoiding becomes easier. That bill you've been dreading gets resolved. You may find yourself feeling clearer. Not always motivated, but less foggy, more rooted in what matters. One woman wrote, "I didn't expect a jar to change anything, but I stopped spinning. I began finishing." Another said, "It's not the coin, it's the reminder that I'm allowed to want something and I'm allowed to work for it gently." This jar is not a trick, it's a mirror for your own attention. But like all living symbols, it must be respected. Keep it clean. Don't let dust collect. Don't place it near unpaid bills, legal papers, or anything that feels like friction. Don't let others touch it, not because they'll curse it, but because this is yours. And if you feel your energy dragging again, if work becomes tangled or your focus slips, check the jar. Has the coin dulled? Has the rice yellowed? Has the salt clumped? If so, it's time. Gently discard it. Wrap the contents in natural material, return it to the earth if you can, or release into flowing water with quiet thanks. Then begin again. Each jar is a cycle. Each refresh is a recommitment, not to hustle, but to wholeness. Because wealth does not arrive only at the bank. It arrives when you can think clearly, when your hands move with intention, when the space where you work becomes a space where you grow. So the next time you sit at your desk, pause, notice how it feels, ask yourself, is this where I lose energy or where I claim it back? And then, with a deep breath, let your salt, your rice, your coin stand quietly beside you as you take the next small, steady step toward the life that's already reaching for you. Final, there is a silence that comes, Not from the absence of noise, but from the absence of tension. It happens slowly. Maybe you feel it while folding laundry when the light hits the floor just right. Or when you catch the scent of lemon in the air without knowing why. Maybe it's in the way you pause before entering a room, not because you forgot something, but because you remembered yourself. This is not about salt. Not really. It's about the space that salt reminds you to notice. The corners that reflect your inner state. The air that thickens when you've been too tired for too long. And the quiet healing that begins when you finally, gently, allow that air to move. Because sometimes what changes a life is not a breakthrough. Not a new job, not a sudden windfall, but a soft shift. A bowl placed with care. A lemon that shrivels so you don't have to. A desk that no longer drains but holds. We live in a world that teaches us to act, to fix, to fill every corner with effort. But what if what you need is not more doing, but more noticing? What if all the scattered parts of you are already trying to return? But your house is too full of yesterday's noise for them to find a place. So tonight, as you move through your home, don't change anything. Just walk a little slower. Open a window, touch the edge of the desk. Let your palm rest on the closed door of a quiet room. Breathe and listen. You don't have to believe in rituals, but you do have to believe in rest. In the kind of deep quiet that doesn't ask for explanation. In the truth that you are allowed to feel good in your own space. Especially now. Especially at this age where what matters is not how fast, but how whole. The bowls you've placed will do their work. You don't need to watch them. You don't need to remind them. They are listening. And perhaps for the first time in a long while. So are you, so let it all soften now. Let the night arrive unhurried. Let the home hold you exactly as you are. And ask not with words, but with presence. What would it feel like to be fully supported? Inwardly, outwardly, silently. Stay with that question. Let it linger. Let it become the room you enter next, and stay there as long as you need.